Alright, let's try this again. So this is old Religion Dystopia, Michael Adams. This is June the 22nd. This image was taken from my front side porch where I hang out a few times, maybe a dozen times a day, and these are some of the images that I've taken from there. As you can see, this is where the wind chime bottom part of the wind chime is. This is some leaves on the side here, which are Virginia creeper. I've been having problems with raccoons of late. They've been crawling around on my porch and my neighbor's porch, which is next to me. One of the things is these trees have tons of hollows in it, or holes where these raccoons they can live in. So, and they come out at night, and I made the mistake of leaving the fish food out for them to mess with, so I took it back in the house. Maybe that'll stop things, because they were tromping around and knocking over stuff. Anyways, so let's look at these forest spirits that have a tendency to look just like Bigfoot. I strongly believe that Bigfoot and these things that people call Bigfoot, Dogman, all these cryptids actually manifest through the life force of these trees. Certain times of years they just come out and do what they do. I don't know. Sometimes to scare us away, sometimes to enthrall us, sometimes to entertain us, whatever the heck they're up to. Doesn't really matter, because they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to be here forever. They've been here forever, and I think after my research about the understanding of Scripture and all that, I don't know if they really are Nephilim. I wonder if these are part of the night. God created the darkness and light, night and day, evil and good, and their realm is the night, is in the shadows, is in the shade. So I think I've hopefully proved to you folks is that you don't have to go out in the woods. If you got trees in your neighborhood, if you're fortunate like me, I live in a town called Sylvania, which means trees, and it's called the Tree City. So it used to have a heck of a lot more trees than it does now. A lot of them died from whether it's allegedly from infestation of beetles and all that kind of stuff. But whatever the case may be, I've also seen these things also die from these entities. That's my experience, and I can only tell you what my experience is. I can't tell you. I mean, I could barf out what everyone else is saying, and that's all everyone's doing is barfing out stuff, claiming that they know what's going on. If you want to read the Bible, you'll find out that Jesus really did show up at the end of their generation as the expectation, and if you're a Christian, then you're going to have to deal with that or keep perpetuating lies. Now, with this, let's check out a few things that I find interesting. If we magnify it and look into the trees, one of the things we start noticing, that I noticed right away, is an anomaly. And this is this spot right here, where it's kind of shadowy or misty, or which is a spirit. I believe it to be. If you look a little closer, you can almost see it. There's like, it could either be an individual one, which I don't believe. I believe they're groups of spirits, and they can make it look like there's something other than they are. But if you look closely at this, it's getting blurry now, but you can almost see eyes and faces if you look. But there's something sticking out, and it's not from the camera, and it's not distortion from the camera. If we move over a little bit, we'll see if we can find them. There's a big guy right here. I don't know if you see his two eyes, his head, his frown. In the shadows, they're spirits, and the shadows. And that's where you can see them, and the trees. If you look real closely, there's his eyes, his head. Actually, I see multiple entities. That's what I think about. There's one right here. There's one right here. And I bet you if you think this is not even a big one, there's a group of them, of these, spirit tree monkeys. There's one right there, maybe at least one or two. You can see this one pretty good with the eyes. They're spirits. There's not much you can do about it. It's just like, you know, they're spirits. The spirits, they live within the trees. And people have known this for thousands of years. People have worshipped or channeled these things through in the groves and all that. I don't recommend that, but people do it, and that's the reality. Let's see if we can find any more. I don't know what to do about them anymore, to be honest with you. Is it worth being afraid? I guess the fear is based on the unknown, first of all, and then the fear of loss of life. But there's definitely one right there. Two right there, right there. There's one right up here. There's definitely a group of them here. And here, you can see, they're in the shadows. There's one right there. One right there. You can see this one right here and right here. You can also see the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the cone. They have these, they're spirits. Like monkey, tree ape type things. Anyways, as we go on, we'll get something better. I'm sure of that. Let's move on. That's another image of that. Entity's right in here. Some stuff from Mr. Butterbud. Some images. Some stuff that I've done. She's the hot chick that understands the world. So this one is this one's fascinating. We'll go back to this, but you can see this face. So this is in my neighbor's yard. Across the street from the front of my house, I would say this is well over 100 yards away, probably 150 yards away. The trees, maybe, I think they're behind her house, maybe closer to, we have a railroad station, like museum of the railroad. I have railroad tracks where that go by me and go to a grain silo about a mile up the road. Now in this video it seems like there's nothing going on. Well, there is something going on, and there's something there. And what is it? It kind of reminds me of a Bigfoot. And where is it? It's right here. That doesn't mean there's other things going on here. You're just focusing on this one. And if you look closely, you can almost see there's this black. There's the eyebrow, the brow ridge, the flattened nose, the mouth. And he's very green, like transparent, like a green, right? And there seems to be something going on right here as well. I'm not sure if it's hands, fingers. Not sure what we're dealing with here. If it's multiple, usually there's never alone. It's, you know, it's like a glob of these things, spirits, and they're tree spirits. That might be something going on here, but it's hard to tell. And I haven't really. I just took a couple pictures. I mean, like from my porch. I don't go anywhere because of the MS, but I think I'm proving a point that these entities are anywhere where there is a tree. Now, if you pay attention to this, you say, well, you know, this is pareidolia. I don't think it is, man. I think it actually is an entity right here. Let's just forget that one. Let's see. That's a different one I want to show. So here's a better look. You can see here's his eyes, his nose, his mouth. You see, it absorbs the green of the trees, but you can tell that it's not the tree. It's not even a branch right here, and that's definitely an eye. At first I'm thinking this has to be leaves, but the more I look at it, I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be a leaf. It can be the head of a spirit, a tree spirit. And there ain't much you can do about it except either embrace the fact that they're tree spirits or not. You can see its eye ridge. Now it's black right here. It's kind of looking at me as I'm looking, taking a film of it. Saying, what the heck's that crazy human being doing? Yeah, what am I doing, God? What the heck am I doing? Why am I drawn to do this when no one else is interested? Now the next thing is here. There's another image from my back, from my porch, and there's an entity actually in here. You wouldn't be able to notice this, and this one is absorbed. The light is shining from the west. Oh, I would say maybe if I'm looking north, and it'd be my left, that'd be facing west. It would probably be that the sun is probably around the 11, maybe no, between, it's probably around 10 o'clock point. So it's the light's coming down this way. As you follow this hand, it's going all the way down. But there's something going on in this picture, and it's this entity right here, and it's an evil looking thing. There he is. And if you look real close, he's not alone. He's got a buddy right here. And they're never alone, and there's other ones that I'm sure you can see. But this one in particular stands out. The eyes, the eye ridge, the nose, the mouth, the lips. This is a branch that goes right through here, and you can see that's the head. It stands out. It stands out. It doesn't look like it belongs with all the rest of the stuff's going on, right? I got a better image of him. The eyes. It almost looks like he got some kind of fangs or broken up teeth. Almost gives the image of like a pointed ears or a horn type of thing. It kind of almost looks like a devilish looking thing, doesn't it? It's got his buddy right here that's more transparent. You can see through it. But there's an entity right there as well. Now, these are the best pictures I've done. Nope. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Can't take credit for much anything except taking the pictures. You know what I mean? They're there or they're not there. You know what I mean? A lot of images. Lately, they say I take 2 dozen. I'm only might find 2 or 3 images where there's actually something there. So, but there he is right there. Here he is right there. On the other side, the same day, same time period. It probably took the picture sometime around 5:30 in the afternoon. So they're there. What do we do about it? I don't know if we do. Well, first of all, we can't do anything about it because they're there. Secondly, why know about this? Well, it's just another one of the mysteries of life to start out with. I wouldn't worship these things. I wouldn't obsess about things. I could spend all day, every day on my porch filming, trying to find the next image, and I could film hundreds upon hundreds of images. But what am I really accomplishing in all this anyways? I don't know. It's just part of the big mystery of this life, seeing how we've been deceived and lied about everything, that we all live in a giant reduction camp. If you don't know what reduction camps, you might want to study the Jesuits and how they have enslaved people in this giant system of endless meaningless jobs. We go home back and forth like slaves, dutiful slaves, getting the job done. And I have time to observe these things and question things. And in my time of questioning things, I've come to the realization that there's a whole bunch of lies. But you can see in just the image of where he's at, this head, and it stands out like a sore thumb. I believe these things come out, well, I've seen it myself, so they come out of the trees. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people have been saying this, and a lot of Native Americans lore has been saying this. And some people say these are the guardian of the trees, guardian of the forest. I have no idea what they are. And for some reason, why don't we know what they are? And why do other people obviously do know what they are? The question is that, what are these things and what are we dealing with, Because, they're everywhere. You can say all day long that ain't what, that's just pareidolia. Okay. All right. Prove it. You can't. And every time an example you see on the online about pareidolia, it's something man-made. Now you're going to tell me that somebody 80 feet climbed up there, or what did they do? How did they put that? It's all pareidolia, for the most part, is man-made, unless you're seeing a couple knots in a tree. So pareidolia, to each their own. I can't make you see what I see. I can only just share with you what I see. Well, there's another entity right there. You see his two eyes and that. And it's always a head. Sometimes the upper body. Sometimes you'll get the whole body. Sometimes you even maybe the chance to see more than that. Hands. I filmed things that got hands grabbing on the trees. I'm sure if I looked real hard in this image, I'd find a lot more going on. And same with this image, I'd find a lot going on. But what I'm pointing out is, if you just pay attention, observe, they're out there and they're in the trees. The trees have some kind of spiritual ecology that goes along with them. And this is known throughout the world. But we in the West, because we've been blindsided and hoodwinked with this illusion of this mystical thing called science, and not the scientific method, we just said, well, if the scientist doesn't say it, though, can't be true. He got himself a degree in one of those temples over there of higher learning, in which if you just did basic research on these temples of higher learning, they dictate what you can say and not can say, what you can study, what not you can study. And you see over and over again these institutes, these temples of higher learning, these INSOC, that spread their filth and their message for the latest day and change it every 5 years to throw us off kilter. It's a new enemy, it's new this, it's a new bug. You'll find out that everything that's been pushed on us through the Satan's altar called the television, which, by the way, Anton LaVey, who is the one who created the Church of Satan in San Francisco, said specifically that the television is Satan's altar, and he wouldn't even let his own children watch anything on television. So that tells you something. Yeah, I got a lot to say about whether it's all these churches. It could be the Church of Satan, the Church of Lucifer, the Church of Christ, the Church of this, the Church, it could be Judeo-Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islamism. They're all designed to capture your mind and enslave you in this scenario and keep you from having any real connection with this creation that God, the Creator, first of all, and the creation that we live in. What do we do about these things? Do we just deny it? Do we just keep on making fun of it? Saying, oh, there's nothing there. Or is there something there? And maybe, I've never had an original thought in my life. I know this. I'm no genius. Never claimed to be a genius. But one thing I do notice is that the Native Americans, they have a lot of legends about such things. And if we look at ancestral line, I'm part Native American, but mostly European, Dutch, and that's why I had the Rh negative problem with Rh negative disease, and some English. And along with MS, thanks to the death jab. You know, it's funny when it happened too. I was in the prime of my life, early 40s, making love to what women I wanted to make love to, playing my own music that I wanted to play, doing my own art, being who I was really meant to be, expressing very much an individualism, an individual, and they took me out because of that. I truly believe that. I could be wrong, and after this life, hopefully they all be clarified for me what actually happened. But I think a lot of people guys get taken out when they start expressing too much of this individuality, this, you thinking for yourself, being yourself, expressing yourself your own way. Instead, like this thing right here, at first glance, it almost looks like a head. Is it a head? Is it a spirit that's messing with it? The more close you look, you realize it's just leaves. But the same token, you go up here and you actually see something going on, and you see this misty thing going on, which a lot of time these misty things are spirits, and they are blurry in the camera because they're. It's kind of like when the Bible talks about that cloud, of God rides on, and the cloud, and it's like a mist. It's like something that's like it's almost like a gazillion spirits that create this kind of mist. I really think even the spirits are involved with the wind. I do. I think that's how they were able to channel this wind and rain and all that. And Native Americans and other shamans were able to do that, and because they realized that these spirits are involved with the wind, or at least moving the leaves. That's for better or worse, and that's the way it is. And oh my God, I don't believe in what you say. Well, that's okay. Go find out for yourself. Get yourself a halfway decent camera. Get a P900. Get a used one, and start filming up in the trees, up in the sky, up. Film the stars. Film the clouds, and you'll start seeing things that you never paid attention to your whole life because you were never trained to do so. You were never trained to look up and start filming what's in the trees. In fact, when you look at the Bigfoot community, obviously it's part of this government psyop, and the community part is what it is. And it's whether, most people who are in the community don't even realize that they are a part of it. I mean, look at that darn thing right there. You see the distortion, right? Now, part of it you could say is because the magnification is starting to get pixelated. Totally agree. But the more and more you look at this, the more you realize, hey, there's something that's not right. It's almost like the sunlight and everything affects it with a certain amount of humidity, and you're able to film these things that would normally you would not see. You would not see the what is abnormal, right? You can see the greater detail in the trees and all that, and the bark and all that. But all of a sudden, like up here, once again, kind of going along with this whole theory about what a totem pole really is, it's these spirits that just stack up. I'm sure if I would have spent more time and really focused on it, started talking about God like I've done before, talking to God, talking to Heavenly Father, the Lord of all spirits, really talking about things that would make them interested, they'd manifest. Like I've done already. I've proven it to myself. How do I prove it to someone like you? I don't know. Man. It's not like a sideshow. I think you have to do it yourself. You have to have the balls and the courage on your own to do it yourself. You don't need to go a mile in the woods unless you want to, just for the adventure and fun and see what you might find. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have to go any further than the edge of tree line, woods, a grove, a group of trees, a big tree is out in the middle of nowhere. How many times have people said, oh yeah, I seen a Bigfoot, or there where that big old oak tree was, right? And we call these things Bigfoot when really they're spirits, ethereal beings that somehow once in a while can manifest in the flesh for whatever reason. Maybe it's for no reason at all. We just catch them. You know what I mean? Maybe there is a reason. Maybe they're trying to get our attention. You know, maybe they're trying to get us to be better stewards of God's creation. You know what I mean? You know, there's no way of knowing. And people say, well, there's mind speak and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, it's never any. The messages are never really all that impressive. They really aren't. They're never that impressive. Nothing of any great value for the individual really that hears it. And it seems just like it's always the same thing. People are, yeah, they talk to me, and I would love to have an intelligent conversation with any being, whether ethereal or physical. It's very difficult to find anybody that's worth talking to. I know that sounds terrible, but it's the truth is most people don't want to think beyond their dick and their belly. That's the truth. If I had my way, that's what I'd be doing too. But God changed me, so now I'm thinking about things I wouldn't normally have thought of. And it doesn't make me better than anybody else, more gifted than anyone. Here's another great example of one right here. I just saw it. If you look at these pictures, the better you get. You see, there's another spirit being. You notice how it's blocking the leaves, even had the kind of lights and all that, stacking up as usual. We got the one, probably a couple more standing. In fact, I would even argue that it's a group of them, and they figured out a way to make faces while they're doing it, and it's a great way to deceive and to hide who you really are. Right? An instinctual thing too. So here we got the spirit beings right here in the mist, and then we got this thing right here. Am I right about any of it? I think so. I mean, if you can find the images that I've found, and things that look like aliens and other things, the flying heads are just absolutely undeniable. A lot of these heads too are not big. When you compare them to the leaves, you see the leaves and these entities compared to the entities, the leaves and the entities aren't that big. They're not massive giants. Hold on a second. Hello? Jared Snyder.
I'm contacting you from the processing department. I received an order for you pertaining to two pending matters. Unfortunately, because I am unable to reach you by phone, I may be actively pursuing you at your place of employment and your residence.
Oh, God. Constantly getting bill collectors, but it's for always somebody else. It's never for me. Constantly harassing me. So anyways, if you look at this whole picture, there's a lot going on that meets the eye. There's a lot of something ethereal, spiritual. These entities are not big. I think a lot of times they hook up to make themselves look bigger than they actually are. They've figured out a way to trick the eyes. I don't know if they're intentionally even doing it. Maybe it's just tricking the eyes because of the way they're hooked up. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't even know they're even trying to do that all the time. But I mean, if you look at this, there is definitely a group of entities here. There's definitely one here. You can see the eye. If you carefully look, there's an eye, and there's an eye, and it's shadowy. But then there's something over there. It's like a group of them. They're never alone. Never. At least I haven't experienced that. And even when people see a Bigfoot or something like that, it's always accompanied with a bunch of other spirits. Which that makes me ask the question if even the thing that people think they're seeing is actually even a spirit, a singular one. Now, in the Bible it talks about Jesus, and the demonic person that was demon possessed with legions of spirits in him, of unclean devils or unclean spirits or devils, right? And it does say demons in the King James Bible, or demons or whatever the hell it is. And they were all able to infest a single human body and infect that single human body. how can they do that as well in other humans? If especially people ask for it to happen. I believe they do. I think this where a lot of the power structure in this world is. They infest. They ask for things to infest in them, and think of that one right there in the eyes, and then that happens, and they you see now it's too distorted to see, but really our eyes going on there, and it's fascinating. That's the better one right there. There's like a branch right there, and then it stops. But there's like an eye and an eye, and it's just really just blurry. And everyone says, "Oh, these Bigfoot images are always blurry because they're spirits." The real things that we capture are spirits, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And there's some kind of spiritual or etherical ecology that revolves around and it would make sense. Plant life. Plant life might be a lot more different than we even imagined. Outside of the cell structure and photosynthesis and all this other theories that we have, that plant life itself might be something even greater than we imagine. A whole realm within itself, if we allow ourselves to imagine it and to see it. And not to be afraid of it, which is hard not to be afraid of it because these things are ugly looking. But then again, I imagine they probably think we're ugly looking. So maybe it's tit for tat, and it's but this is just a tree. You can see it's the summertime. There's a lot of life going on here. These old silver maples have a lot of holes in them, which squirrels and raccoons and flying squirrels and birds and live in, you know what I mean? And not to mention all the insect life. And then there's the ethereal life, Other beings themselves have these ethereal beings in them, whether intentionally inviting it in or not. We ourselves were described in the Bible and many other ancient texts as like trees. We stand tall like trees when we're not sick, with limbs like trees. The connection with humans and trees is more profound than we want to give it. Now, I'm not trying to get all wooey on here or all spiritual and all that. I'm just trying to state what is the obvious. You know what I mean? There's something going on between the ethereal realm and trees. Anyways, how long did I babble on? My gosh. Okay, great. Get off. Get off. Okay, where are we at this? Oh, that's a pretty good spot to stop. So, once again, spirits are connected with trees. See, trees are really life. You can find them, even when they're not. In the wintertime, I filmed these spirits around them. And they're ugly looking, frightening looking, look very, what we would call dynamic looking because they're the evil face, scary face. But if we can get past that, and not invite them into our lives, or not invite them to be in us, kind of like how the angel Gabriel came in unto Mary, or how the gods, the sons of God, came in unto the women of men. And we assume we know what that means because of how we have sex. A man with a woman, right? A man comes into a woman. But, yeah. Which, damn, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? I miss those days. I don't think about it that much, but when I do think about it, yeah. I made love to some pretty women, and it was fun. It's enjoyable when you're healthy, and she's healthy, and you make love. A lot of fun, isn't it? Of course, then you make a baby.